Welcome, everyone. We're excited to have you join us for this demonstration webinar. We're going to be talking about a brand new service offering from Crawford & Company called TruLook. And I want to kick things off today just by introducing today's presenters. My name is Tim Wall. I'm Director of Marketing for Crawford & Company. In a minute, you're going to hear from Lindsay Knudsen, Vice President of Sales for Crawford & Company. And also, we're going to hear from Kenneth Knoll, the Chief Operating Officer of WeGoLook. So let me just kick things off with a little bit of background. This service, TruLook, that we're talking about today is really the culmination of a combination of services from Crawford & Company and WeGoLook. And Crawford acquired WeGoLook in January of 2017, and this is a combination, one way that these services are playing out together. There's a lot of ways WeGoLook and Crawford are working together, but TruLook represents one of those key services and combinations of service offerings. So without any further explanation, I'm going to turn it over to Lindsay Knudsen to take it from here.
Thank you, Tim. So everybody knows that claims are never simple, they are never straightforward. And the process that one person may use may not work for the next claim. So really what we're looking at with TruLook is how do we take those lower severity claims and make it easier to use technology and traditional field adjusting. So as we move forward to the next slide, I'm going to talk a little bit about how all these different technologies today are complex, they're coming at us quickly, but how do we navigate through this kind of sea of different solutions? So what we've done is we're going to show you today how we've taken the different options in technology and made them into a solution that each one of you could walk away with and use in your offices or your brokerage firms or carriers today. So as you can see, TruLook has the right process for your claims anytime, anywhere. Well, what does that mean to you? That means that we have self-service apps, we have drones, and we have a looker network of over 40,000 lookers in the US, Canada, the UK, and Australia that can go out and give you solutions and options for your customers to handle claims in a faster, easier, more cost-effective way than we have in the past. So as you can see here, the benefits of having these options are reducing costs by up to 30%. So as we look at traditional claim handling, a lot of times you have the claim, you receive it via FNOL, you get it to the adjuster, and they go out and look at the claim. This is going to provide options, which we're going to talk about in a minute. We can process them in as little as 3.7 days. We can reach claimants anywhere. That looker network and the capability of the self-service allows us to reach claimants in rural areas in a much faster time frame. The average drive time for our lookers is about 12.2 miles. So that means that instead of having an adjuster drive out to you maybe 3-4 hours, we can have that looker go out and do some of the work or the self-service app. And of course, the bottom line for you is increased customer satisfaction. Your clients, your members are important. So this process allows you to tailor that solution to each of your clients or members. So as we move forward in our presentation, I'm going to talk to you next about how it works. And this is a solution which we can cater to fit your needs. So this is one of the use cases we're going to show today, but I do want you to keep in mind we can cater this to fit with current capabilities and current systems. So you as the client are able to submit the claim via email, phone, or your existing ordering system. And then the TruLook desk, what that is that's a triage process, and that is a licensed adjuster that uses capabilities or criteria that we've developed with you to figure out where that claim goes. So that can mean if it's a low complexity claim that goes to the self-service app, we push it out to the individual or the claimant, and they take the photos and they push it back to the desk. Then it goes through the quality assurance process, and then we can push it back to you. Or does that mean that the TruLook service desk says, this is a good case to go to a looker? And so we push it out to looker, they go out and take the photos and push it back to the desk. Or if it fits a traditional field service model, we can also send out a traditional adjuster. One thing I want to point out is when we say low complexity, we're talking on average about $25,000 and below. It may be different depending on the case, but we do not recommend this process for higher severity claims just because that desk model and that adjuster, in order for us to get a good quality end product, we do want to focus on those lower severity, high frequency claims. So if we go to the next slide, I just want to talk a little bit about what that means for you on the intake and triage. I want to dig into that a little bit more. Does that mean that we're going to create the process? No, absolutely not. We want to work hand in hand with you to figure out what that looks like for the customer. We can do that via app. So if you have an online app and you're able to do that and we can route them automatically, we can do that. If that's a call intake and we have a script where we figure that out, we can do that as well. Or if you have an existing platform that does some of this for you, we can work with that as well. We want to work with you as a customer to figure out what the best path of the claim is for the customer experience to be enhanced. And again, then we'll figure out if it goes to the self-service app, if it's going to go to a looker or to the field services. Well, what happens if you all of a sudden send it out and the self-service isn't a good option? You know, like maybe that's not the best option for that person. Well, we have a seamless escalation process. And that means that if we send it out and for some reason their app isn't working, their phone perhaps is not cooperating with them so they can't take clear pictures, we can just push it to a looker very easily. So we have a seamless escalation process. Or what if perhaps the looker goes out and they don't get the correct photos, or perhaps there's more damage than they expected when we receive the claim? They can just push it out to a field service adjuster that can go in and do the investigation that maybe is needed on those more complex claims. So that makes it easy for you to give your customers options and also for you to escalate if perhaps the triage on the front end didn't properly identify some of those items, or if we find the damage is more severe than initially reported. So I'm going to pass it off to Kenneth, and he's going to really talk about the how this happens and the magic behind the scenes that makes TruLook what it is today.
Thanks, Lindsay. So the technology behind the self-service application, what we're putting in your customers' hands to collect data, is really where it starts, right? That's the lowest severity use cases, to put it in the user's hands and let them do that themselves. And what our self-service application is, You Go Look, is the culmination of everything we've learned over nearly a decade of making lookers effective at field data capture, encapsulated in an easy-to-use, single-use inspection tool for your own customer to gather that data. It's a stepwise process. They walk through in a step-by-step fashion to capture exactly the information needed to estimate a claim from a desk or validate the damage that you may already even have an estimate for. It can be used for that as well. And it works exactly as you'd expect. From the time you place an order, we kick off an email notification or an SMS message or both to the user with a unique ID that they click, and it launches them right into the application. This messaging can be co-branded to fit how you want to reach out to your customer as soon as that order is placed. Since the code's already pre-populated, they virtually get to skip this screen, in which case it dynamically brands to you as a carrier. So this is where you get to carry your brand and messaging through to the customer, and we're walking them through the logistics of the inspection process from there. It's a very workflow-driven process where we're prompting an individual to tell us if they're going to do it later, when, and we follow up with them. There's automated reminders inside the mobile application, and we also support it from our fulfillment center, centrally from Oklahoma City, where we're guiding users through the process if they have questions and following up if they haven't completed it when they said they would. When they're ready to complete it, they can simply click yes, and it's going to walk them right through a stepwise fashion process to do that. They also have the option, much as Lindsay alluded, to escalate that, right? If they aren't available to complete it, maybe something's come up or they're feeling overwhelmed by the process or just want somebody to come help them do that, that's an option. That's an election that can be made within the application itself to escalate that for a looker dispatch inspection. Again, something we handle turnkey from our fulfillment center in Oklahoma City. Assuming they're going to proceed through the inspection process, again, it's a guided experience. These tutorial screens that we provide help someone see exactly the process they're going to be expected to walk through, and then they're taken step by step through the photo capture. We're presenting them examples of the types of images they need to capture that are going to help us be effective from a desk. And all of this verbiage and information that we're presenting to them can, again, be tailored to how you want to interact with that customer. Once they've submitted all the information, it's important to note everything's geocoded, time and date stamped, so we know that is the information gathered from on-site at that location. No photos can be uploaded into the application. They have to be taken on-site through the tool, uploaded into our servers, where we can QA that data before we send it off to be handled at a desk. Now, not every scenario is built for self-service use cases, right? We know that. There's many applications that can be leveraged in. So what do you do when you don't, self-service doesn't work, but maybe a field adjuster is too much of expertise in the field? You don't need that in some scenarios. That's where the Looker network comes into play. We have over 40,000 lookers across the U.S., Canada, UK, and more recently Australia, making 24/7 service available virtually everywhere and with as fast as same-day service. These are vetted individuals going on-site to capture that data, again, in a controlled, curated way, exactly to the criteria needed to estimate from a desk. The density and coverage we have is virtually unmatched, with just an average of 12.5 average travel distance for every inspection we performed in 2017. So the reach translates into anytime, anywhere availability, not just for you as a customer, but also the on-site contacts, where we can meet with them at their convenience. So what can the Looker network do outside of just data collection? Certainly inspections and damage assessments are a core part of that, whether that's underwriting inspections or, in the case of claim handling, capturing the damage on any asset type, vehicles, property, whether residential or commercial, even other asset types. We have schemas, as we refer to them, or report templates that walk agents through exactly the criteria they need to capture, even the gathering of measurements and things that need to be collected to help someone from a desk, an estimator, complete the task at hand. But it doesn't stop with data collection about inspections or damage. We can also carry out tasks, also complete documents in the field. Total loss documentation is a popular use case where we dispatch lookers based on jurisdiction to complete paperwork with an on-site contact, collect note signatures and notarize where necessary, and ship those documents where they need to go. Perhaps pickup and delivery is a use case. We do salvage item retrieval and pick up and destroy. Also surveillance footage that we can pick up and drop ship to any location where you need that. All these ancillary services that are part of the claims management process, claim handling, where we're able to inject lookers as the field boots on the ground to help facilitate that process. So who are the lookers? They're vast experience, expertise, obviously located all over different geographies, from the most rural to the most metro, but we know a lot about them, and that helps us deploy them more effectively in the field. We have licensed drone pilots, over 2,200 of those in the U.S. alone. It is a U.S.-only service, but we also have registered notaries where we can dispatch, as I mentioned, on demand to complete paperwork. Anything from professional photographers to licensed adjusters and appraisers, they're in the network, and we're dispatching them for that effective field data capture. Another important thing to note is bilingual capabilities. Because we have a contingent workforce and we're using the density of the network, we also have a lot of language skill sets that can be deployed as needed for the language preference of an on-site contact. And one thing I like to highlight is the average age of the network. When we think about on-demand services, whether that's a ride service or a delivery service, the common thinking is that it's going to be a 20-something or an early 30-something coming on site. Our network actually averages 42 years of age. We have anything from working professionals that are performing this as part of other activities or work they perform, all the way to retirees that are doing this as a way to earn extra income and stay busy in their post-retirement life. So for the vetting process and getting them in, it's important to know that there's a very extensive process that lookers pass through to become a part of the network. It's not just as easy as signing up. In fact, only roughly a third of those who apply get through the process. It's not a difficult process, but it's briefing lookers on who we are as a company, what we're performing, expectations of a process like TruLook, the data they're going to have to collect. That's what we're curating and making them familiar with what they do well ahead of them receiving an assignment. It all ends with a background check. No lookers admitted to the network to receive assignments until a background check's committed. And then from there, we also maintain the network. So dress codes, we're enforcing that. You ask how? Lookers don't know when at random they may be required to also submit a selfie along with an inspection. It sounds a bit trivial, but it's a very effective tool to remind them of the importance of what they have agreed to and the expectations of them during the onboarding process. One other thing of note, we do carry third-party liability coverage from the time a looker embarks on an assignment to the time they leave. So you know that should anything occur, there's protection there from a liability perspective. So what does that translate into? When you leverage self-service, dispatch lookers and field adjusters in a single solution, TruLook, where's the value? The value is in turnaround time, the value is in cost savings, and you can particularly see that during catastrophe scenarios. This is from the CAT season 2017, hurricane specifically, where we were seeing average turnaround times on over 2,600 claims that went through this process of just 4.7 days, where the industry average was 32 or more days. So tremendous value to not just our customers we're serving, but also the on-site contacts who are trying to get their lives back on track. Now on the claim cost side, certainly there's surge rates in these scenarios. We all see that. We know that's a reality in catastrophe situations. When you're leveraging a dense looker network, that's not the same exposure. We have the ability to get boots on the ground. Self-service, another scenario where we can help control that cost. And we did that in a very big way for customers, including estimates delivered back. The full package solution delivered a 69% cost savings over what the rest of the market was experiencing with the traditional field adjuster model alone. And there's also use cases that you wouldn't expect. Certainly we found use cases during multiple different hurricane seasons and other catastrophes where we're delivering new value to customers. One of those in the most recent hurricanes was business interruption claims, where we were able to dispatch lookers not only to verify damage and help get a claim settled for property damage, but also the business interruption that could follow. And what we found for a specific carrier we served was that 67% of the sites we inspected that had an active business interruption claim were actually back up and with power and operating. Clearly good value delivered to the carrier in that case, who has a time and day stamped inspection validating that business was back in operation. And there's other use cases, whether it's hail or other situations where you have a lot of assets at a single location, we can get multiple lookers at a single site to get assets inspected much more quickly than when you're dealing with a single field adjuster on site. So it doesn't just stop at boots on the ground. We also have eyes in the sky, and that's the drone services. So we have a full network of over 2,200 drone operators, again, across the U.S. only, where we are curating, collecting the licensure on those individuals. They're all Part 107A certified, so they have the appropriate FAA licensure, collecting insurance details, ensuring they have the appropriate insurance, and of course we carry insurance on top of that, all to make that a workforce we can dispatch on demand for you with drone equipment to capture the information you need to accurately estimate claims that involve roof damage. And today that's now available through the Geomni platform. We have a direct integration where you can select a drone operator right from within the Geomni platform, and that's a capability that's part of a seamless solution within the TruLook model that the Crawford desk team, a licensed adjuster, is able to dispatch on demand for you. So when that comes back, it doesn't matter what channel, whether it's self-service, a looker dispatch inspection, or a drone inspection. All of that's coming through a QA review process into a desk service to prepare that estimate. So we're ensuring the quality of and completeness of that information to prepare a quality estimate to deliver back to you. Again, all handled from a desk to deliver the cost savings over the traditional field adjuster model. So how's that possible? Certainly you need rich information if you're going to produce an accurate report in many situations. And that's where the capabilities of the WeGoLook network and technology that we leverage as part of those inspections really comes into play. Lookers gather measurements, both manually as well as digitally. We're integrated with a technology that allows us to pull electronic measurements from images once they're received from the field. So as part of the QA process, we're pulling measurements that are going to be needed at a desk to better estimate a claim. Video walkarounds and walkthroughs. It's not just still imagery that we're capturing. Photos are excellent. They're good for doing what you need to understand the extent of damage, but sometimes you need to orient the situation, get a fuller context of the claim itself. Flooring is a perfect example. If you see flooring damage, how far does it extend? How much of the flooring am I going to have to replace throughout an adjoining space due to the flooring type? That's where video comes in very handy, and lookers can capture that as well as on-site contacts through the self-service tool. And there's plenty of data points and commentary that are received back from the field. These can all be tailored to your own customer requirements, but also it's general commentary from the inspectors in the field that are giving our desk team exactly what they need to be effective. It's all built for efficiency. That's what TruLook is all about. From intake to delivering of an estimate, it's about the efficiency we can deliver from a time savings as well as cost savings. Intake is happening immediately. In as little as an hour or less, contact is established with the on-site contact, and the appropriate routing is chosen, whether that's self-service, a WeGoLook inspection, or a traditional field adjuster dispatch. Self-service is a very rapid process, right? That can come back as quickly as an hour. But if it doesn't, we're going to follow up and make sure it happens as quickly as it can. I mentioned the automated application reminders. Of course, WeGoLook, we have anywhere from 1-day to 3-day services with lookers, and desk estimating and adjusting, same day to maximum 2 days in most cases, to get these low severity, low complexity claims back to you so you can settle them with your customer. So what does that look like? Sure, it's time savings and cost savings, but what kind of mix can you expect? Well, this is what we've seen. Across the claims that have been handled through this process, we've seen the ability to push only 20% of those to the traditional model, primarily leveraging lookers in the field to capture that at roughly 50%, and then self-service is effective typically in around 30% of scenarios, and that's across asset and claim types. So at the end of the day, what that translates into is nearly 30% cost savings and time savings of nearly 70%. So not only are you saving the cost to the bottom line on the loss adjusting expense, but also the customer retention that can be had through an overall better experience, right? Delivering for them in the time of need as fast as possible. That's what's possible with TruLook. It's a combination of WeGoLook and Crawford's services in a new innovative model that provides for that seamless intake triage process that's critical to picking the best path to find the savings you need, leveraging the technology where needed, but it doesn't stop there. It's part of the family of companies you've come to know and use across different use cases, whether that's Contractor Connection, GCG, or Broadspire, even GTS for the more technical claims. They're all part of a seamless process that you can leverage, and we'd invite you to certainly learn more about this at our website, crawco.com/TruLook. There's an excellent video that walks through an explainer of the triage process, the escalation, and some other questions that you might have. There's also an ability to reach out and let us know if you're interested or have any questions. So see us there, crawco.com/TruLook. We'd love to hear from you and see how this can be implemented inside your claims process.